Good morning, Motai. The past few days we've been speaking about some of the halachot of borer, selecting on Shabbat, and the ease with which a person can transgress it if not properly informed. So there's a famous machloket achronim with regards to a solid food that falls into a liquid and floats on top. Whether removing that will constitute isur borer or not. Famously, the Maharitatz, Rabbeinu Yom Tov Tzahalon, who lived about one generation after Maran Bet Yosef, also Michachmei Tzfat, he writes that it's permissible. He writes several reasons why it's permissible. He says, especially since it's nikar. The question that he was asked is if let's say a fly falls into a cup of wine or a cup of water and it's floating on top. He says that's not really considered a mixture. It's floating on the top. It's easily discernible on its own, and therefore he says borer does not apply to it. He famously says a pun. He says en borer balach vetasir ashalach. He says there's no borer by liquids, and you can throw away in case you have a poisonous wasp in your cup. Anyway, so that's with regard to that. Many achronim disagree with him. Many, nevertheless, many of the great Chachmei Sfarad did agree with him. The Sefer Etz Chaim, written by Ma'ari Chagiz, Rabbeinu Yaakov Chagiz, also agrees. He says after you take out the fly from the cup, it's not more barud than before, it's not more selected than before, and therefore it's mutar. Maran Zechron Bracha also says, La halacha, you can rely on these poskim. It's better just to make it a little bit easier in order to be yotzei kol hadeot. He says if there's, let's say, a fly or a crumb that's floating on top of a liquid, he says the best thing to do is to take a spoon when you remove that thing from the top of the liquid, take a little bit of the liquid as well, so you will gain another shita of the poskim that since he took a little bit of the other item as well, that it doesn't constitute borer. So the same thing applies, by the way, if a person, let's say, is squeezing a lemon into a liquid. That's a different story altogether, but according to Maran Shulchan Aruch, that squeezing lemon into liquid is perfectly mutar. Let's say a person squeezed lemon into tea, and one of the lemon pits fell into the tea, and he wants to remove it. Same halacha, if it's floating on top, it would be perfectly mutar to remove it from the cup of tea. On the other hand, if a person's squeezing lemon onto salad and some of the pits fell inside, over there, that's a totally different story. That's considered psolet mitoch ochel, and removing the pits from a salad, on the other hand, would be considered isur deoraita mamash of borer. You have to be very, very careful. Baruch Adonai le'olam amen.